Maryland is a geographic impossibility. It is a state that is being physically eaten by the ocean at one of the fastest rates on Earth, while simultaneously being choked into a tiny 2-mile-wide sliver of land that nearly cuts the entire East Coast in half. Most people see the blue crabs and the sailboats, but they miss the ruthless reality. Maryland is a high-stakes engineering project struggling to survive a 35-million-year-old asteroid impact, a drunken border dispute that almost started a war, and a hidden mountain system that acts as a literal wall for the Atlantic's weather. It is the only state in the Union that contains every single type of American terrain in one tiny, hyper-dense footprint, except for a desert. Today, we're stripping away the postcards to reveal the 22 systemic secrets of the America in miniature that prove this state is a geographic glitch hiding in plain sight. Let's start at 22.
Fact 22. The state that is literally being eaten by the ocean. When you look at the Chesapeake Bay, you see a beautiful estuary, but the reality check is that Maryland is losing land at one of the fastest rates in the country. Because of a combination of rising sea levels and glacial subsidence, where the land is actually sinking, entire islands in the Chesapeake have already vanished. The hidden system here is that places like Holland Island, which once had a thriving town with 300 residents, are now completely underwater. Maryland isn't a static landmass, it's a disappearing act. Fact 21. The 6-mile choke point. Maryland has one of the strangest shapes in the Union. At its narrowest point, near the town of Hancock, the state is only 1.8 miles wide. The reality check is that you can stand on the West Virginia border, look north, and see Pennsylvania. This choke point is a geographic bottleneck that forces every major fiber optic cable, interstate, and rail line connecting the East Coast to the Midwest into a tiny strip of land. Maryland is the literal waste of the Mid-Atlantic. Fact 20. The Chesapeake Crater mystery. Millions of years ago, a massive bolide, a space rock, slammed into what is now the lower Chesapeake Bay. The hidden system is that this impact created a 53-mile-wide crater that stayed hidden for eons. The reality check is that this prehistoric collision still affects Maryland today. The crater fractured the bedrock so deeply that it created a groundwater trap, causing land in the region to sink faster than anywhere else on the coast. Your morning commute in southern Maryland is being shaped by a disaster that happened 35 million years ago. Fact 19. The drunken Mason Dixon line. The northern border of Maryland is the most famous boundary in America, but it's a geographic mess. When Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon surveyed the line in the 1760s, they were trying to settle a violent border war with Pennsylvania. The reality check is that the line isn't actually straight. Because of the Earth's curvature and the primitive tools of the time, the border wiggles. This hidden system of errors means there are pockets of land where people lived for decades not knowing which state they actually owed taxes to. Fact 18. The inland sea that dictates everything. The Chesapeake Bay is the largest estuary in the U.S., but it's surprisingly shallow. The reality check is that the average depth of the bay is only about 21 feet. However, the hidden system is the Deep Channel, a narrow, 100-foot deep trench that runs like a submerged river through the center. This single geological feature is the only reason Baltimore became a global port. Without this one deep groove in the mud, the massive container ships that fuel Maryland's economy would never be able to reach the city. Fact 17. The artificial mountains of western Maryland. While the Appalachian Mountains are natural, the landscape of western Maryland has been ruthlessly re-engineered by the coal industry. The hidden system here is acid mine drainage. For over a century, deep mines were carved into the mountains, and today, the geography of the region is defined by how the state manages the orange, acidic water that flows out of them. It's a landscape where the natural beauty is actually a highly managed industrial recovery zone. Fact 16. the secret island of Smith Island. Maryland has an inhabited island in the middle of the Chesapeake that can only be reached by boat. The reality check is that the residents speak a dialect of English that sounds closer to 17th century British than modern American. The hidden system is that the island is slowly sinking into the bay. The geography is so extreme that there are no cars, and the entire culture is built around the ruthless schedule of the tides. It is a living museum of what Maryland looked like before the bridges were built. Fact 15. The Fall Line Power Plant. There is an invisible line that runs through Maryland where the hard rock of the Piedmont meets the soft sand of the coastal plain. This is the Fall Line. The reality check is that every major city in Maryland, including Baltimore, was built exactly on this line. Why? Because the rivers dropped suddenly, creating waterfalls that provided the hidden system of water power for early mills. Maryland's urban geography wasn't chosen by architects, it was chosen by the geology of falling water. Fact 14. The Billion-Dollar Bridge. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge is nearly 5 miles long and reaches heights of 186 feet. The reality check is that this bridge didn't just connect two pieces of land, it destroyed a way of life. Before the bridge was built in 1952, the eastern shore was a geographically isolated wilderness. The bridge acted as a ruthless bypass, turning a remote farming region into a suburb of D.C. and Baltimore overnight. The geography of the bridge created the modern Maryland commute. Fact 13. The submerged forest of the Atlantic. Off the coast of Ocean City, there are hidden stump forests on the ocean floor. The hidden system is that these are the remains of ancient cypress swamps from a time when the coastline was miles further out. The reality check is that as the ocean rises, it uncovers these prehistoric trees. Maryland's beach isn't just sand, it's a moving curtain that occasionally reveals a world that existed before the ice caps melted. Fact 12. The ruthless geometry of Washington, D.C., Maryland originally gave up a 100-square-mile diamond of land to create the nation's capital. The reality check is that the district is literally carved out of Maryland's side. The hidden system is that the border between Maryland and D.C. is marked by 40 stone monuments placed in 1791. If you walk along the border today, you're walking on a line that was ruthlessly cut through Maryland's farms to create a neutral ground for the government. Fact 11. The rain shadow of the Alleghenies. Western Maryland is one of the wettest places in the state, while the areas just to the east are much drier. The hidden system is the rain shadow effect. As clouds hit the Appalachian Mountains, they are forced upward, dumping all their moisture on Garrett County. The reality check is that by the time the air reaches the Cumberland Valley, it's dry. This geographic wall creates two completely different climates within a 2-hour drive. Fact 10. The dead zone of the Chesapeake. Every summer, a massive dead zone forms in the center of the Chesapeake Bay, where there is no oxygen in the water. The reality check is that this isn't just pollution, it's a geographic trap. Because the bay is so long and narrow, the water doesn't circulate well. The hidden system is that nutrients from farms get trapped in the deep channels, fueling algae blooms that suck the life out of the water. Maryland's greatest asset is also its most fragile geographic trap. Fact 9. The hidden river of the Atlantic. The Pocamoke River is the river of the presidents, but its geography is bizarre. The reality check is that Maryland actually owns the entire river, all the way to the Virginia shoreline. The hidden system is a colonial-era charter that gave Maryland control of the water. This means that if you're standing on a pier in Virginia, you're technically looking at Maryland soil. This geographic quirk has caused legal wars over fishing and water rights for over 300 years. Fact 8. The glacial boulders of Rock Creek. In the middle of the DC suburbs, there are massive granite boulders that look like they were dropped from the sky. The reality check is that they were. During the last ice age, massive floods carried these glacial erratics down from the north and dumped them in Maryland. The hidden system is that these rocks are completely different from the local geology. They are immigrants from a frozen world sitting in suburban backyards. Fact 7. The ruthless canal that failed. The C&O Canal runs 184 miles along the Pocamoke River. It was an engineering marvel designed to connect the Chesapeake to the Ohio River. The reality check is that the geography of the mountains was too ruthless. By the time the canal reached Cumberland, the railroad had already beaten it. Today, the canal is a 184-mile-long geographic ghost, a monument to a transportation system that was defeated by the very mountains it tried to conquer. Fact 6. The sinking capital of Annapolis. Annapolis is one of the most historic cities in America, but it's also one of the most flooded. The reality check is that nuisance flooding has increased by 900% in the last 50 years. The hidden system is that the city is built on soft, porous sediment that is compacting at the same time the ocean is rising. The geography of Maryland's capital is a race against time. Fact 5. The hidden swamp of the Pocamoke. On the eastern shore, the Pocamoke River flows through a deep, dark cypress swamp that looks like it belongs in Louisiana. The reality check is that this is the northernmost cypress swamp in America. The hidden system is the black water. The river is stained dark by tannic acid from the trees. It is a geographic pocket of the deep south hidden in the middle of the mid-Atlantic. Fact 4. The man-made island of Poplar Island. In the middle of the bay, there is a massive island that was almost completely gone by the 1990s. The reality check is that the Army Corps of Engineers is ruthlessly rebuilding it using millions of tons of mud dredged from the Baltimore shipping channels. The hidden system is that Maryland is literally using the bottom of the ocean to build new land. It's a recycled geography that has become a massive sanctuary for birds. Fact 3. The Continental Divide of the Eastern Shore. The eastern shore looks flat, but it has a hidden spine. A low ridge runs down the center of the Delmarva Peninsula. The reality check is that if a drop of rain falls on one side of a farm field, it flows into the Chesapeake. If it falls 10 feet away, it flows into the Atlantic. This micro-divide dictates the entire drainage and farming system of half the state. Fact 2. The ruthless tide of the Konowingo. The Susquehanna River provides 50% of the fresh water for the Chesapeake Bay. At the end of the river sits the Konowingo Dam. The hidden system is that this dam acts as a geographic filter, trapping millions of tons of sediment. The reality check is that during a major storm, the dam can be forced to open its gates, ruthlessly dumping years of trapped pollution into the bay in a single day. The health of Maryland's ocean depends on a single concrete wall. Fact 1. The America in miniature. Maryland is the only state that has every type of terrain found in the U.S., except for a desert. From the sandy dunes of the Atlantic to the jagged peaks of the Appalachians and the massive inland sea of the Chesapeake in between. The reality check is that this diversity is Maryland's hidden system. It allows the state to have a massive fishing industry, a global shipping port, a mountain tourism economy, and a high-tech corridor, all within a 3-hour drive. Maryland isn't just a state, it's a geographic masterpiece of efficiency. Maryland is not just crabs and sailboats. It's a state of disappearing islands, drunken borders, and engineered landscapes that defy the map. If this much complexity is hiding behind the postcards, imagine what else you've been missing. Which fact hit you the hardest? Fact 22 or Fact 1? Tell us in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like so we can keep uncovering the hidden systems of our world. See you in the next video.